Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. Racism is alive and well, unfortunately, in much of the world today. What does religion have to say about that? And in particular, what does Islam have to say about that? With me is Dr. Shabir Ally from the Islamic Information Center. Dr. Shabir, we see some of the incidents happening around the world and, in particular in the United States with the death of George Floyd and the protests that are occurring as a result. What are your thoughts on what Islam says about that?
Yeah, it is very important that we bring in the religious dimension, Sophia. The struggle for justice is basic to all human beings. And we see people around the world rallying for justice for George Floyd and for other Black Americans who have been treated unfairly. And everybody wants to root out systemic racism. We also need to look at how religion has played a certain role historically in maintaining a certain racist type of outlook in people. And of course, on the other hand as well, we need to appreciate that religion can be used for both bad and good. And we need to look at what Islam in particular has to contribute in the way of helping people to overcome racism.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think religion can help to support or prop up a racist sort of outlook?
Well, sometimes it has to do with a creation myth. If we believe that everybody is created equally, well, then that's a good head start. But you may be surprised to find that in some mythologies it is said that the human race is created from a primeval man, and this original man has his body divided up so that from his head we get one class of people who turn out to be the light-skinned people, and then it progresses all the way down to his feet, where from which we get the dark-skinned people. And so here we have right away a hierarchy where the light-skinned people are on top, the dark-skinned people are at the bottom, and the dark-skinned people dare not touch the light-skinned people, because according to the religious rules of purity, that will render the light-skinned people impure. And then that's not the end of the matter, because over time we come to realize that there are some people who do not fit in one of the classes that are known to have emerged from the primeval man. So what are they? They come to be known as untouchables, and they suffer systematic racism and discrimination, and they have for centuries. So we need to recognize that, and we need to be able to overcome that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, does Islam have any of these features within it?
You're asking if Islam has some of these features?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Islam actually, on the contrary, teaches us that there is only one origin for the human race. The Quran often refers to us as Bani Adam, which could mean the children of one man, Adam, or just simply that we're all human beings all together. And the Quran says, Inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. We have surely created you from a male and a female. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. And we have made you into nations and tribes so that you may know each other. إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. Certainly the most honorable among you are those who are most aware of their duty. And this is in the 49th chapter of the Quran in the 11th verse. So you can see in this verse, Sophia, that there is a clear indication that there is no superiority of one human being over another. But okay, if you want to know, people like to vie with each other, right? So if you want to vie with each other, vie in recognizing and fulfilling your duty. And in the Islamic context, there are two duties. One is the duty towards God, and another is your duty towards God's creatures.
Dr. Shabir, is there a problem within Islam in terms of light and dark skin?
Well, no, because the idea within Islam is that there is a physical outward body and there is an inner spiritual body. And it's the inner spiritual body that is of importance, not the outward. In fact, the hadith puts this nicely by saying that Inna Allah la yanzuru ila ajsamikum. God is not going to look at your bodies. Walakin qulubakum. He is looking at your hearts, and hearts here should be understood as the inner spiritual body. It is that which God is looking at, and amalakum, at your deeds. God is going to look at your deeds, not your outward appearance. In terms of light skin or dark skin, that makes no difference when we're talking about the physical body. We should recognize too, as Muslims, that when the Quran speaks about light and darkness with regards to the spiritual side, we should not translate that into the physical dimension. This is why in some of my recent sermons, when I relate a saying that talks about like a dark spot or something like this on the heart of a person when they commit a sin, I prefer to call that a sin spot rather than a something that denotes color, because it doesn't matter what color it was. It could have been green for all that we know. The important thing is that when you commit a sin, according to that narrative, a sin spot forms on your heart, a mark of your sin. So it could be any color. It could be yellow. It could be white. I mean, it doesn't matter. What matters is that this is a sin spot that needs to be gotten rid of. We should be careful as Muslims as well on how we use language, even when we're reporting traditional things. But to get back to more on this question of the color of skin, the Quran actually has an interesting verse, is in the 30th chapter, the 22nd verse, which says, actually the 23rd verse, which says that from among the signs of God is that He created you and made you into different colors and speaking different languages. ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم. And then that verse continues to say that these are among the signs of God for those who reflect and for those who know, like for the scientists. And today, scientists are very clear that all humans around the globe share 99% of genes in common. And there was an interesting experiment done by 3 scientists working together. 2 were Caucasian, 1 was Asian. And the results of their mapping their genes showed that the 2 Caucasians were each separately more closely related to the Asian than they were to each other. And what that shows is that our genes are a combination of many complex influences in history through a long process of biological evolution. And what we look like on the outside is not necessarily a firm indication of what our genes may actually hide. And so we may actually...
Dr. Shabir, is there any recognition, was there any recognition at the time of difference and of a need to include that difference within the community as a whole?
Well, yes. Naturally, there were attempts of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to defend those who might have been criticized or ridiculed. It is said that one of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, a black person, Bilal, who was very close and dear to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and continues to be very dear to all Muslims worldwide, was insulted by another companion who called him the son of a black woman. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, stepped up to defend him and rebuked the offender, that the offender, being a man of faith, wanted to make things right. So he said to Bilal, here's my face on the ground, just put your boot on my face. Just to make things even. But of course, Bilal wouldn't do that. the Quran itself says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la yaskharu qawmun min qawm. O you who believe, let not one group of people deride another group, and do not call them by names which are disagreeable to them, and so on. So both the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, have paid attention to that situation on the ground and gave us this kind of ideal, which sometimes we fall short of applying in our lives.
I guess in the Prophet's time, whether one was black or white, whatever skin color one was, everybody prayed in the same line, right? Side by side, shoulder to shoulder.
And that's right. That's one of the things that we're being challenged about in our COVID-19 world. But yeah, if things were normal, black, white, rich, poor, everybody would be lining up together. The distinctions are erased. And this is most clearly seen when Muslims perform the Hajj, the pilgrimage, because and on that occasion, all men are required to wear two unstitched garments, which are usually white, and this makes everybody appear the same. You could be very rich, but you're not there with the attire of a king. You're there looking like you're dressed like a very poor person, in fact.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Dr. Shabir. Of course, sometimes Muslims are racist as well. They have racist behavior and actions. So, we have to root out our own racism within our communities. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on what Islam says, because that will encourage us to change our own behavior.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on the show.